Barry Hall last week, 15 marks and 5 goals against the Cats, and Shane Wakeland surely will get the job again tonight. And in those 15 marks for Barry Hall, 9 contested, showing that Barry Hall's back to his very best. And this should be a wonderful battle within a battle between Wakeland and Hall tonight. And I just wonder whether, without Brown, Collingwood can hold the forward line of the Swans. And at the other end, Travis Cloak, a lot depends on his ability tonight to kick goals. Adam Goods, I wonder whether he might sneak forward Rob Walls and start the game up there. He has done the last couple of weeks.
Yes, and he's heading to the forward line is Adam Goods. Travis Cloak in picture there. Craig Bolton will oppose him. And that's a big job. There's Goods, 8 goals 2 weeks ago. A couple of goals against the Cats up at ANZ Stadium last Saturday night.
Tremendous roar around the dome. Saturday night footy, some enticing matchups there. Medhurst and Barry, O'Brien and Goods, Wakeland and Hall. We're just about ready to wind into it.
Ty Kennelly in the forward line, Hutto. That's something that we haven't seen before. So the Irishman playing up forward.
Unless, of course, he's just gone to the wrong end of the ground, Wolsey. There's the opening bounce. And Fraser getting the tap, but the Pies going forward. Hurried ball inside the 50, and Medhurst straight onto it. Didn't panic. Trying to find Swan. McVeigh has had an outstanding season, but he bit off more than he could chew there. Should have been a free, but Dane Swan was able to pick it up and not capitalise. So there's a controversial one early for Pies fans.
Had a great year, Dane Swan.
Gee, all the Sydney players are pushing down into their defensive 50.
Well done by Jolly, gets it down. Chance for Davis off the ground, across the face. Another boundary throw in deep, this time in the left forward pocket. What a game Leon Davis had last week. Career high 28 disposals against Port Adelaide. A real barometer for this Collingwood side.
Yeah, Crouch got the tagging job on Leon Davis.
Short boundary throw in. Kirk and Bolton fight over it. What's the umpire going to do there? And Craig Bolton over the top. I reckon he's going to play a free kick. Here he is. And the reason he paid it is because there were 3 Swans players
he was over him.
Holding the ball in.
Leon was next to me. Leon was next to me.
So there you go.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing for Crouch, that his opponent gets a free kick like that in the first minute of play.
So from 25 metres, Leon Davis kicks the goal. Collingwood on the board at the Dome. And Rob, let's have another look at this. Now, there's Kirk and Bolton. Now, they are on top of the ball. And then Crouch, in fact, Craig Bolton as well. What do you think about that?
I reckon it's a pretty tough call. It's a tough call because there's so much congestion. They're on top of each other.
So the free paid against Craig Bolton.
Tough call.
Anyway, the goal is on the board. This domination of Collingwood over Sydney, is it set to continue tonight?
And have a look at that. Brett Kirk not in the centre of the ground as he usually starts. In fact, he's at the centre half forward position for Sydney.
So some renovations from Paul Roos even before the game started. He might be looking to change things soon because Collingwood side surging. Dawes unable to keep a handle on it. That was Grundy involved for the Swans, and O'Keefe all hands on deck. Buchanan off half back by hand but not cleanly, and he had a season high last week, did Eamon Buchanan. 21 touches. That one not too effective. Fraser and Jolly. Swing and a miss from both players, but Fraser back for a second dip, and Dane Swan's getting a feel for the footy early. Grundy from behind. Was there any interference in the back? No. It's going to be tight and tough into the clinches tonight. That I think we can probably guarantee. Pendlebury for Burns. Did well to get it to Medhurst, and Swan continues to be prominent early. Medhurst just hoping for the best there. Bevan, who's had a very good year, but couldn't take it with him that time. Pendlebury delayed the handball to give a bit more time for Scotty Burns. They're outnumbered here, but it's McCarthy. He has shown a bit in the last 2 weeks, Steve. the great young McCarthy.
And the kick by Burns was just sensational. Pendlebury gives it across, and have a look at the way the skipper angles it on the boot to hook it back to the front. It's drifting back. That is a perfect kick.
And that's as good as perfect too. 2 goals on the board. His brother, of course, was at Geelong for a little while, and he wasn't the most reliable kick in front of goal, but that one went through. And this is, despite all the changes from Paul Roos, hasn't been a great start by Sydney. Collingwood getting so much of the footy.
Just better read there by McCarthy. The kick coming wide from the pocket from Scott Burns. And a good start by the Magpies. John McCarthy.
Yeah, and so many young players in that Collingwood team. There are 10 Collingwood players tonight who've played less than 50 games. Sydney's only got 5. Sydney's the far more experienced side.
Jude Bolton now, a chance. Handball to Crouch. Look out. Can he break the Dawes tackle? He gets the handball back to O'Keefe. That was scrappy. Bevan put him under the pump, but he's got an outlet. Bolton, Jude Bolton, brilliantly smothered though by Davis. Crouch with an opportunity. Well tackled in turn by Cook. Did he throw it? No, said the umpire. McVeigh off to Kirk. Oh, gee, that was an ordinary handball. Got to Jolly eventually. He was able to get it back to McVeigh. Kirk, kick it inside 50 they call. He does, kicks it straight to Swan.
Swan did well to get back to fill the hole in front of Barry Hall.
He's already had 5 touches, Dane Swan. Here's McCarthy back on the job after kicking the goal. Medhurst also lively. In fact, all the Pies have been lively so far. McCarthy, very impressive. Low spearing ball for Pendlebury. And the Pies, just a bit of a lesson handing out at the moment.
That's where it started. Leon Davis, some great work on the wing.
Scott Pendlebury has kicked 10 goals, 8 for the year.
And it's on the right side for the left footer.
He's their second best with the goal assists, or the score assists. But he must get a nice warm, fuzzy feeling as that one goes through for the Pies' third.
Have you noticed what they're doing differently, the Swans, Rob? Because whatever they're doing, it ain't working at the moment.
No, it's not working, Chris. Well, number one, they just can't get their hands on the footy, can they? Only had the 16 disposals. They've got Richards playing up forward. They've still got Kirk playing up forward. And Kennelly started in the forward line as well.
Goal to Scott Pendlebury. And whatever they're doing differently, Rob, just not working at the moment, the Sydney Swans.
And we see O'Keefe in picture. He's been playing on the wing. Ty Kennelly started at half forward. He's dropped into the hole in the back line as the spare man in defence because they need it.
To half forward, Medhurst wheels onto the right boot. Clark, well done. O'Keefe got a hand in there. But Pendlebury an opportunity. Oh, he's got deceptive speed, Pendlebury. Normally uses it pretty well from 60. Medhurst, he's got it. He'll kick from 40. And Paul Medhurst, 47 goals for the season. From set shots, he's kicked 30 goals, 11. But he's kicked 5 goals in the last 5 games. So the goals have dried up for Medhurst. He's played high on a number of occasions over that period. But this an opportunity for a 4th Collingwood goal. Been a wonderful recruit from Fremantle. Couple of steps, drop punt, offline. We've got the distance, yes, just. So disappointment there for Paul Medhurst.
In fact, he's been goalless the last 2 weeks. Chris O, as you said, only 5 in 5, and none in the last 2 weeks. So maybe just a little drop in confidence.
Leo Barry is Medhurst's opponent, and I just worry about the quickness of Medhurst on the lead. Worrying Leo.
Well, Leo's back after 4 weeks off, and Medhurst has already had 6 disposals, and this is Leo's first. Swans shell-shocked here and somewhat in disarray at the moment. As the Pies heading forward again, Wellingham, who had the week off, got told a couple of things, and then is back in the senior side this week. John Anthony to line up from close to the boundary, and he has the knack of kicking goals.
Well, he's an accurate kick, is Jack Anthony. Kicked 17 goals, 3 behinds. He's another one of the young Magpies. As I mentioned, 10 in this team who've played less than 50 games, so very, very inexperienced. What he does, he doesn't get too many possessions, but he makes the most of them.
Only had 10 disposals twice in his 8 games, in fact, but has always kicked at least 1 goal in every match so far, and that's a trend that's not about to be broken yet. That is a mighty good kick and an even better start by the Pies. 25 points the difference.
We just have this ability to be able to stifle the Sydney run, Rob. We've seen it over the last 3 years, and early stages of this game they've been able to do it as well. So big challenge ahead for the Sydney Swans.
Well, the amazing thing, they've only had 3 kicks, Sydney, in 10 minutes of football. And that is an amazing statistic there. In 10 minutes of football, Sydney's only had the 3 kicks and 14 handballs. So you can see the kick to handball ratio way out of whack for Sydney.
Adam Goods has gone back into the defensive 50 as well, Wolsey.
Well, they've just got to stop the bleeding, Paul Roos, at the moment. They can't afford this 4-goal lead to get out to 6 or 7.
Bree got it wide. Chance at ground level for Kennelly. Couldn't quite pick the loose footy up. Pendlebury's been busy early. Bird brilliantly tackled by Tuvey. Goldsack tried to soccer it clear. Kirk and Maxwell involved. And we'll get a boundary throw in on centre wing. So Everett to do battle with Fraser. Fraser wins it down towards Burns. Everett immediately tackled by a couple. Scooped up, but only as far as Fraser on the left boot. Swan's got to be really strong here, and the loose player back is Goods. Starting in attack, but finds himself now just trying to shore up the Sydney defence.
Might even be time for Sydney just to play a little bit of keepings off, get some touches of the football, just slow the game down a bit, just keep it out of Collingwood's hands for a while.
Grundy, little trouble, and he's got a massive problem. He's gone. Dear me. So Roberts-Thompson gave it back to Grundy. The kick from Roberts-Thompson was poor, put Grundy under the pump, and the tackle from Anthony was an absolute beauty. Just wrapped him up. He tried to fend him off, but just nailed him.
Got hold of the arm, so he couldn't get a handball, and this is the worst nightmare that Paul Roos could have. Record-breaking game for the Sydney coach. Most number of games coached by a South Melbourne/Sydney coach in their history, 153.
Well, he's 35 metres in front, directly in front of goal, and he kicks one. So he's kicked 2. Collingwood off to a flyer. They've got 5. Well, what an amazing opening to this game. Collingwood 5-1. Sydney have had 1 entry into their forward 50, and that was a turnover from Brett Kirk.
Well, the Roberts-Thompson kick was a shocker, Chris. That's all you can say, and that's praising it. It was just an absolute shocker. At that stage of the game, at that part of the ground, you've got to get the ball in the air to give your teammate a chance to mark it.
Not sure what's more amazing, the fact that Sydney have only had 1 entry into their 50, or that Collingwood have had 7 and have kicked 5 goals out of the 7. 31 points the margin. At that rate, they might kick about 40 goals for the night. Sure, that's not going to happen. Clearance is 7-1 as well.
Thanks, guys.
Harry O'Brien sparing defence for the Magpies, and
They'd be getting cold down there.
well, he's come down to the stoppage area and he's been told to get back into the back line by O'Brien.
I think he was just keeping warm, Wolsey. Fraser, O'Brien. Can't get the outlet handball there.
The other thing which is prominent early is the fact that Josh Fraser is leaping as well as I've seen him leap all year.
And isn't there an extra spring in your step, Chris?
There's always a spring in my step.
I know that, Michael, as Burns' kick was smothered.
Thanks, guys. Release the tackle.
Just a little more than usual tonight, that's all. The margin, 31 points. Astounding start. What's the game plan going to be from Sydney?
Leon Davis.
From here, they've just got to stem the bleeding somehow. Anthony's off on another leg. We haven't seen much of Travis Cloak yet because Jack Anthony has been hitting it hard. Kennelly off the ground. And that time Anthony just couldn't keep it in.
And geez, a full house here at Telstra Dome too. I don't think there's a spare seat. And the Sydney supporters are just stunned.
They would be fairly much mute at the moment, I imagine, Wolsey. Fraser, the big up and under to half forward. Dawes almost able to drag it down. This is Grundy, who had 15 touches last week, but had no effective kicks in those 15 touches. O'Keefe, everyone getting up the ground to lend a hand at the moment. It's pretty clear paddock ahead of Barry Hall.
Now, is that a cheer I hear, Chriso?
I don't think so.
About that. He could have gone to Goods, but he goes along the line to Richards instead. There's the late inclusion. Shannon Cox standing the mark. Umpire lost patience and he had to go for a pretty low percentage ball. Good strength shown from Bolton, and he got a shove in the back apparently.
Back. Jude, come round.
Well, Sydney's put the ball inside their forward 50 just once, and we've been playing almost 15 minutes.
Barry Hall trying to get the team plan organised, which is most full forwards clear out and give me some space. But
well, Sydney will go around because Collingwood's got 18 players in their defensive half.
so Grundy feeding Leo Barry. Now Barry Hall makes the lead. Wakelin has shown a great ability over the years to contain Barry Hall. Roberts-Thompson goes to the boundary line. The umpires will look at each other and they decide they'll throw it in. The recent record of Barry Hall against Collingwood, 1, 4 and 2 in the 3 games last year, and 1 goal 3 in the round 14 clash, which wasn't all that long ago. Of course, it was another infamous night for Barry Hall when he clashed with Shane Wakelin, and it led to the club suspension of Barry Hall. 31 points the margin.
Boundary throw in, half forward for the Swans. Everett reaches over the top. Buchanan was held, and he'll get the free kick against Lockyer. And the man on the mark, 48 from goal. Buchanan decides to kick to a central location. Hall, oh, great carry shown by Goldsack. Got in the hole, then Davis and McCarthy. Oh, gee, spilled the mark, McCarthy. Still got Davis in support if he needs him. And Shannon Cox hard up against the line. That's a beautiful kick to Anthony. And Jack Anthony's marked just backward of right centre wing for the Magpies. He's kicked a couple of goals already. Missed all of last season with a serious neck injury, and before that was a defender. Clark's kick not great. Wellingham set him a real task. Was he pushed? No. Will he be pinged for holding the ball? I reckon he might be here. No, the umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt. So we'll get a bounce the attacking side of the wing for the Magpies. There's the work, Rob, with Tyson Goldsack. Some good stuff.
Yes, and you need courage to back into the path of Barry Hall.
O'Brien, well done, Jude Bolton. Put the head down, tried to charge through, couldn't get anywhere, and umpire Jeffrey calls for it again.
Interesting that Adelaide are 2% in front of Collingwood right now, so a big Collingwood win, a really big one, if they could, particularly if they could keep Sydney down to a low score, could be significant in the race for the 4th position. Leon Davis. Kennelly tries to get back and fill the space. Good, strong, aggressive defensive work from Matner. Tuvey had a chance and couldn't take it. This is O'Brien now. In mind was Clark, and he almost got there. 2 tough nuts there, and Bolton wins the day, uses Grundy on the way out. Can the Swans go forward with any sense of meaning here? Buchanan waded his way through the traffic. Matner puts the head down as he so often does. Off to Buchanan, sizes up the situation, goes for Hall, not sure why.
No.
McVeigh can still make it turn out all right. Odds are against the Swans here because there's Collingwood jumpers everywhere. They've got a lucky free. When I say lucky, I don't mean it wasn't there, but
Gee, you had to worry about Buchanan going to Barry Hall in that situation. I think the shot for goal was on. He was only about 50 metres out.
Gee, they've missed O'Loughlin, Wolsey, haven't they, since he's been out?
Yeah, Michael O'Loughlin's an absolute star, has been for Sydney for a decade. Just does all the team things, presents well.
Patrick Vespremi, we saw him a couple of weeks ago. He was left out last week. Back in the side, perhaps the future of the Sydney Swans. Nails the goal. So
they've just got to be careful, Hutto. There's Buchanan. He's 51 metres out, no one around him, and he goes for a pass to Barry Hall, who's got Wakelin a centimetre behind him. Just wasn't a common sense decision. And I know that Hall commands the ball. He's a massive presence, but they just need to share the goal kicking around. He's a good kick, that young fella. He should have gone for it.
We've seen that so many times before, haven't we, too, with Sydney, when they've struggled against Collingwood, be over-reliant on going to Barry Hall, and Wakelin's had his measure.
Yep. Good work from Eamon Buchanan. He set it up from half-back by attacking the game, taking on Tarkin Lockyer. Back in the centre. Both ruckmen look at each other. Bryan wins it out. Chance for Wellingham. Couldn't get an effective handball away. O'Brien jams it on the boot. Anthony was held. No free kick. Kennelly off to Bevan. And not a great kick. He kicks it wide. Maxwell couldn't quite take it. He's got the job on O'Keefe. Did a great job back in round 14 on O'Keefe. Wellingham. Cox uses the ball very well to Shannon Cox. Got time to measure his options. Decides to have a bounce now. Shannon Cox kicks it deep. McCarthy in a good spot here. So is Cloak. Came from McLeod's Travis Cloak. Haven't seen much of him tonight, but he's in the action now. Will kick from 20 metres.
What about Shannon Cox? Here's the young fella with the foot. He came into the team, didn't panic, and accelerates, has a bounce. It's just a penetrating kick, a perfect kick for a forward to mark.
Lots of composure. Shannon Cox, one of those players that can play at either end. Lots of talent. But the ball with Travis Cloak from 20 metres. Angle slide, kicks Collingwood 6th. Margin back to 31 points. As we watch Shannon Cox, and you're quite right, Rob, didn't panic.
No, and for a youngster to do that, it shows that he's well drilled. He's been told to back himself, not just bomb away. And I know Collingwood have got a great reputation with their development coaches, with the youngsters, and we're seeing it here.
Six goals to one. Travis Cloak getting in on the act. There's Paul Licuria and Guy McKenna on the bench. McKenna, of course, off to the Gold Coast, and Licuria was part of the citizenship ceremony that we saw here. He wasn't being naturalised, but he was part of the formalities before the game here tonight at the Dome. Swans going forward for a rare occasion. McVeigh kicked it into the space and allowed his young teammate in West Premier to run onto it. Now Hall again trying to demand it. There's a vacant square. West Premier doesn't look confident that he can go the journey.
Gee, Barry Hall's given 3 leads and been ignored each time.
He just sets it up to the one-on-one in the square, hoping that Richards could outpoint Barry.
And then Barry Hall points to his young teammate and says, kick it to me.
Brian, rather, not Barry.
So Clark. Gee, what a wonderful kick. Swan didn't have to break stride. Collingwood into attack already. Cloak was held. We'll get a free kick.
Hold it, you're going to get caught.
The kick in was, dare I say, centimetre perfect. He did not have to break stride, Swan.
Thanks,
So
Rob.
Cloak from 60 can kick it a long way. Pendlebury at the back. Oh, gee, got up high, couldn't take it through for a behind. So 1-1 tonight for Travis Cloak.
Marty Mattner takes the shortest option available. There ain't been much for them. Jolly deals it back to him. And Roberts Thompson, handball. It's fairly stilted, but it's got them to the centre in reasonable time. And it's an open forward line presented. Barry Hall marks. As Premier tails back, he almost has to have a shot here. No, he doesn't want to.
It's a good kick.
Yeah, it was a superb kick. He summed up the situation. McVeigh was hinting to Burns that he was going to run back to the goal square, cut back around, and Barry Hall sort of saw that all happening in front of him. Well done.
Let's have a look at the Clark kick-in. That is hard and low and long and perfect, absolutely perfect. So Swan could mark and keep his momentum up, and they moved it from one defensive 50 to the forward attacking 50 in the blink of an eye. Wonderful football.
And Jared McVeigh, who kicked a bag of 6 a few weeks ago up in Canberra against the Dogs. 29 for the year. Now's a good time to kick one for the Swans. It fades. Too much.
So Goldsack at fullback. Into O'Brien, who runs. Well done, Schneider. Put a little bit of pressure on Wellingham. Well done, Bevan. Fisted it away. Roberts-Thompson's got it. Looking for Jolly. Didn't get there. Lockyer is handball forward towards Pendlebury. Intercepted by Kennelly. Wellingham back in the action, though. Bevan is as well. And he'll get a free kick. Advantage paid as Kennelly. This is better from the Swans. They're starting to run. Eamon Buchanan's got it. One bounce. Looking for an option. Decides to swing it wide to Jolly. Jolly props. Kicks towards centre-half forward, over the head of Hall. And a chance for Cox. Gave it to O'Brien. Not sure about that. But Bryan. And now Cox again. And they relieve the pressure. Burns marks at half-back for the Magpies.
There just seems to be a lack of options for them up forward at the moment for the Swans. It's all very well to have an open forward line, Wolsey, but there's really only one or two choices for them at the moment.
Yes, and Barry Hall very much is that target, an over-reliance on him. Because of the poor start, they haven't been able to persist with Goods in the forward line.
Pendlebury settles on a big pack where the Pies, you would think, have got the edge in the air with Travis Cloke. The ball ends up over the line.
It's interesting. Yeah, Adam Goods was on Swan. Both were in the middle of the ground. Swan went forward. Goods went the other way. Bit of Russian roulette. Adam Goods is now pushing into the Swans forward line. Harry O'Brien's taken him.
Classic ruck work that time from Jolly. Brought Bolton and O'Keefe and Buchanan and O'Keefe again and Bevan. So they are starting to share it around off half back, the Swans. Can they hit a target up forward? That's good stuff from Vez Premi. He's been impressive. Chipping ball for Hall. And this time he hangs on. And wouldn't it be a huge boost for him and the Swans if he could just go back now and nail this kick? 30 goals for the season from Barry Hall.
And the veteran Shane Wakelin, he's jarred himself there. He's feeling a bit sore and sorry.
Hall averages under 2 goals against Collingwood over his career, 1.8 goals per game. For his career, he averages 2.4, so it is definitely below par against the Pies. And unfortunately, that is not going to improve the ratio. Wouldn't they dearly love to get at least one before quarter time?
And they kick out to Harry O'Brien there a couple of times in this quarter.
He goes back towards Bryan, who drops the mark. He's got time, though. Burns is free. And Burns accepts the pass. Still inside defensive 50 for the Magpies. Not too much movement, so he decides just to kick along the line. Maxwell, the ultimate target, got hands to it, couldn't take it. Oh, gee, good tackle, though, by Maxwell on Kennelly. Wraps him up. And pretty good result for Collingwood. We get a bounce, given there wasn't much on for Burns. So Bryan and Jolly. Jolly does brilliantly, gets it to Jude Bolton. Handball back to Kirk. Hard up against the line. Handballs it straight over, and the umpire says throw it in. Benefit of the doubt given to the Sydney veteran Brett Kirk.
He was surrounded by Collingwood players there, wasn't he? But ball pretty much went straight over the line.
Pretty much. Jolly again working to the front. Buchanan, who's probably been Sydney's best early doors here. Kennelly. Beautiful kick onto the chest of Richards. Back to Moore. Over to Roberts-Thompson. Just a little fumble. Toe poke inside, attacking 50 to Hall. Oh, crashes through a couple. Big Barry. What a goal this would be. He drills it. He's back. Don't worry about that. The Swans have their second. And maybe that'll inspire them, Robert Walls.
Well, it's a great bit of play. Have a look at the way he picks this up. Fends off. Backs himself, doesn't give off a quick handball. He says, I'll do it myself. And that is a super goal because he's had to put the ball on the angle to hook it back. They just can't hold on to him there. I think Shane Wakelin's out of petrol tickets already in this first quarter. And the big man, he's pumped after that one. And if ever anything will inspire Sydney, that's it.
He looks like he's really taking it on, doesn't he, Barry Hall? What a challenge it is. Back to 23 points the margin now, so they can just work away at the edges. There's Mick and your mate, Wolsey. Well,
they've been able to put Hall back near the goal square, and I think that's where they want him. But to have Hall there, they need to have Goods in the forward line as well. And Adam Goods now is playing across the half forward line, so they've settled a lot better in the last 10 minutes, Sydney.
Dane Swan and Pendlebury and O'Brien. The midfield firm going to work. Dawes is drawn a free, I reckon, here. against Grundy.
There. Give the footy to him, Marty. Held his arm.
Started his career a couple of weeks ago on Saturday night footy with a goal that fell his way in the opening minute or two. Sets this one up, Anthony, with the run and the leap. Oh, it was all set up for him. Might be a goal anyway. Leon Davis, you can see his eyes light up.
Well, that came from a Sydney handball. We'll have a look at it. Everyone's looking at the Jack Anthony fly.
Jack, I think it was.
I think it was Kieran Jack too, Hutto. Yeah, Kieran Jack's dished it off to Leon.
Two goals to Leon Davis, and the margin is back out to 29 points. So it didn't inspire them initially, the goal from Barry Hall.
So much for that.
Yeah.
And you can see Adam Goods coming in off the far wing.
Everett Kirk somehow got boot the ball. He hacked it out of mid-air. Well done, Pendlebury, going back with courage. Knocked it out wide to O'Brien. Oh, that's dropping the ball. No. Lucky. Clark, Pendlebury, Lockyer. Clark and Lockyer normally uses it beautifully, and he does this time. Medhurst intent on playing on wide. Here's Cloak. And Travis Cloak will kick from about 46, 47 metres perhaps. And, gee, I think that was a free kick to Sydney.
Medhurst's automatic play on is so productive. Very hard for Craig Bolton to defend that when the forward just automatically spins, turns and puts a sharp pass in.
26-20 from set shots. Travis Cloak decides to kick from outside 50. Has it got the carry? It's a goal. Cloak has two. Collingwood have 8. 8-2-50, leading the Swans 2-3-15. A blistering opening quarter by the Magpies.
Well, who would have thought this? 8 goals to Collingwood, and Sydney barely touched the football in the first 8 minutes of play. Settled a little bit better, but the last couple of goals to Collingwood, they're going to go in at the quarter time break with a fantastic lead. Confidence right up.
It's like the spell Sydney had over teams has been broken, Wolsey. I mean, it's been scored against consistently since that mid-season point.
Well, you're right. Over the last 7 games, Sydney's had the biggest scores kicked against them in Paul Roos' reign as coach.
Generating more footy. Maxwell from O'Brien. Mark not taken by Matner. It's still very much alive for another Collingwood scoring option.
Well, 8-2 is their best first quarter of the year. Their previous best was 6-4 when they beat Geelong.
And disappointing effort by Matner to mark there. Dropped his head.
Oh, here's a goal. Another one almost gifted for Pendlebury. Not quite. And the Swans have really created some of those mistakes themselves, although you've got to give the credit to Collingwood for the pressure they're applying down there, I guess. 51-15. That's a margin of 36 points.
Matner in short. Gee, not a great kick, but he was there. Oh, gee. Matner back to Jude Bolton. Somehow they get out of trouble there. Towards Goods. Oh, great mark from the Brownlow medalist. But he's going to run out of time. Oh, that's not a great kick either. Leo Barry, quarter time. What a performance from the Magpies. Their best opening quarter of the season. They lead 8-3 to 2-3.
And the Collingwood fans should stand and cheer their team. That is a ripper start to a game that's been looked forward to all week, and they are shell-shocked, Sydney. They're winning the clearances, they're getting the marks in the forward line, they're hitting the forwards with lead-up passes, they're kicking accurately, and they couldn't have asked for a better start. Paul Roos has got an enormous amount of work to do to pick up the confidence of his troops.
8-3, 51-2-3. I guess the highlight for Swans. Barry Hall with 1 goal. There's been a whole host of them for the Magpies tonight. All right, let's go downstairs and welcome, I think for the first time tonight to our coverage, Christy Malthouse. Welcome, Christy.
Thanks, Anthony. Good evening. Well, there are no injuries down here to report, but both teams are certainly red hot off the interchange bench. In fact, they're actually second and third when it comes to club averages for interchange bench use, and they're keeping that up tonight. They've both used the bench 21 times already, so they're certainly making sure that they're going to rotate heavily and try and keep their players fresh for this game, because we know these two teams, they like to play with a high intensity when they play against each other, so they're going to need fresh legs by the last term. I can also tell you the crowd is loving this game, mostly Collingwood supporters, of course.
Yes, what a surprise that you noticed that down there.
Bobby Skilton doesn't look too happy,
No,
does he?
he's not that happy, particularly with the first 15 minutes, Wolsey. Analyse this.
Well, the first 15 minutes of the game, it's just all one-way traffic, isn't it? Have a look at the contested possessions. The clearances is amazing. 1 to 9 in the first 15 minutes. The inside 50s, it was just all one-way traffic. Marks inside 50. And there's the Shaw brothers. They're happy. And why not? Their team's playing particularly well.
There's the quarter-time score from the Gabba. Carl, bit of a surprise there, Carlton. 7-2-44. Brisbane, who are playing to keep their finals hopes alive, 3-4-22. That'd be good news for St Kilda fans, particularly watching on, as we have a look at what all that means for the live ladder. And we touched earlier on Collingwood and their percentage in terms of the battle for fourth. There they are, 2% behind Adelaide as it stands at the moment. That is the live ladder. The Pies, a win tonight will mean they'll be safe in the 8. And the Swans, if they were to get back, would be in the battle for the top 4 once again, depending on other results over the weekend.
Well, Sydney starting with Goods and Hall up forward, and Lewis Roberts Thompson has been moved on to Medhurst. Leo Barry has been moved across onto Jack Anthony.
Bryan got the tap down, but Bolton got the clearance. This is Goods. Leading O'Brien, you can see just waited as the traffic went past. High ball, he's pushed down. Jolly just can't get onto it. Good grit shown by O'Brien. You wouldn't expect anything else. It's Craig Bird over the top, number 14 for the Swans.
Sydney trying to get Hall back close to the goals. Got to get some clearances, Sydney.
There is some space to the left here if they can run onto it. Goods trying to get Bird. Bevan just into that space. Maxwell. Cox. Leon Davis. What a player he's become. It was a little risky, but found Bryan, and now Dane Swan. And the Pies are out of trouble. Here's Shane Wakeland. Can he show the ball to Barry Hall? Or just get rid of it as soon as he can. And Hall going to get back into the thick of the action. Surely that was holding the man. Jared Moore just lingering far too long on Ryan Cook. Or Cookie, as the umpire called him.
Collingwood do a lot of this in this position here. Kick to a short lead down the boundary line side.
So called to play on Ryan Cook. Kicks long along the line. Cloak, and no contest there, so they'll be disappointed with that. Jolly takes an uncontested mark off to Kennelly. Bevan, great chase from Leon Davis, but he got the handball away just in time. But put O'Keefe under the pump, and you're gone, Ryan O'Keefe. I suspect no. The umpire says play on and will bounce it.
He's lucky. The umpire said he tried to handball it. He's fortunate. But the Bevan handball to O'Keefe was just a shocker.
Yeah.
Like, he gave it to him and he was surrounded by magpies.
Fair enough too, he did try and handball. Bolton, tempted kick by Maxwell, didn't connect. Numbers just at the contest with Collingwood, and O'Brien's pushed in the back, so he'll take it. And just looked to be hurt momentarily, Shane O'Brien there. Taking a long time to get to his feet. Fires out the handball to Bryan, who can kick it a long way. Decides to do exactly that to the goal square.
Holding! Right! Put your arms straight around him. Took your eyes off the ball, went straight to him, put your arms around him and held him from going to the contest.
Well, couldn't have explained it any clearer than that, umpire Bozzo. So Travis Cloak will kick from 30 metres directly in front.
Just not sure which Sydney player it was. Whether it was Leo Barry.
Bolton, I think it was. No,
it was Leo.
Brett. Thanks.
The stats calling it as a free against Craig Bolton, but there you go. You saw it on the screen.
Cloak directly in front, kicks his third. Collingwood lead by 42 points. Not the start that the Swans were looking for in this second term.
And it just puts pressure on the Sydney defenders, and I would think it's against Leo Barry for hanging on in that situation there, and I think it's a fair call. He's wrapped Travis Cloke up.
He's still unflustered, isn't he, Paul Roos? It's maybe slightly furrowed brow, that's about all. His team 42 points down, and it's hard to see them not only getting back into this game but really firing 2 more shots in the season. Davis went down in a heap after the kick. Cook took the mark. Cloke with the darting lead. Bryant's in the middle, looks the man most likely. O'Brien read it superbly. They can do no wrong, the Pies.
Great centering kick that from Ryan Cook, and good contest provided by Chris Bryan. And as you said, Hutto, what a beautiful crumb from Shane O'Brien. His first of the evening. So the margin now out to 48 points.
Collingwood are playing with a 7-man forward line, so they're taking Sydney players away from the midfield, opening up the midfield area where Swan and Leon Davis, Scotty Burns have had the ascendancy.
Good tap from Jolly to Jude Bolton around the body. Maxwell going back with courage off to O'Brien. And he can run, Harry. Loves to run. Got a loose player at centre forward. Brilliant smother. That was great stuff from Jude Bolton, but great hands from Swan. Over to Cook, who concedes ground back to O'Brien. Now where will he go? He goes across the ground, and the mark's taken by Cox. Cox immediately kicks towards Lockyer, but Crouch did brilliantly to anticipate, come across and take the mark. Richards providing a target for him, but Goldsack equal to the task. Who'll be first to recover? They come from all directions. Burns slides in, ties it up, and will get a bounce on the City wing.
Good attack on the footy. That's good.
5.5 minutes gone. Scotty Burns would be very proud of the way the team has responded, the leadership shown over the last month since their off-field crisis. O'Keefe feeding Goods. Just had to try and move it on. He had no other choice. Goldsack. Bryan throws his weight around. Bird, Kennelly. That was a better kick, but they're very wide. And still a fair way from home. Richards. Fruitless kick just straight to Scotty Burns.
And you can rely on Scotty Burns to get back to help out the defenders. And that would be a big talking point at Collingwood through the week. Barry Hall taking 15 marks last week. They just had to get numbers back to block him.
But he was playing on a very inexperienced defender, wasn't he? And often left one out against Harry Taylor. He had a lot of brute strength, the edge against it. So he had to put it in perspective.
Tackle coming from Lockyer, but the Swans do well. Bird kicks it straight to Dawes. Good hands. Maxwell off to Cox. So a bit of pressure being absorbed by the Magpies at the moment. O'Brien dropped the mark he should have taken. O'Brien does well. O'Brien gets it somehow to Clark, who just jams it on the boot in hope. Kennelly, handball to his own advantage. Cook in hot pursuit, tracks it to the line. Cook does very well in that situation, and we'll get a boundary throw in on the wing. Margin 48 points. Collingwood led by 36 at quarter time, and have kicked the only 2 goals in this second term.
Have a look at that stoppage there, and Collingwood at stoppages on the wing. Make sure they've got a good forward structure. They've got 5 or 6 forwards in place. What it means is that you don't have massive numbers around the stoppage area, and Collingwood's taking advantage of that, because if it's heavy in close around the stoppages, Sydney tend to win those situations. So they're just making sure that there's not massive numbers around the boundary throw-ins and ball-ups on the wing.
They work it out well. Craig Bolton off to O'Keefe. O'Keefe kicks to Hall. Takes it on the bounce, does he? Yes. Good tackle, though, from two of them. Wakelin and Medhurst play on the call. Robert Thompson, awkward-looking left foot, but it's effective. And Vez Premi is marked 45 from goal.
That's it there, Tyson. That's good.
Well, he's been a bright spark. Patrick Vez Premi. And he'll kick from right on 50. Not the greatest of kicks. Maxwell going back, fist, and will it go over? Yes, it will. So a boundary throw in deep in the right forward pocket for Sydney.
Crowd getting pretty vocal, as you can hear. Jolly.
Starting to ruck well, Jolly.
Buchanan could have got a free there. Held without it momentarily. Great aggression and single-mindedness shown by Lockyer. Davis is away. Fraser's turn. They're on here, the Pies. To the right, to the left. This is Pendlebury. He's a blue-chip stock, that's for sure, Scotty Pendlebury. And shows it again. You wouldn't mind letting out to him, Chriso. Cloak to have the shot for goal.
Leon Davis set it all up with that one-handed pickup, and in the same motion got the handball across. I think it was to Fraser. And Leon Davis, 10 disposals already in this game.
He is certainly in career best form. Here's Leon. Travis Cloak lines up. 6 kicks for the night, 3 goals, and it won't be a 4th, but it still could be a Pie goal because everyone's getting on the act. Medhurst takes the mark in the pocket.
Well, the beauty of the mark is that he controlled it all the way down to the ground.
We mentioned the minor goal drought for Paul Medhurst, who's still sitting on 47 goals for the year.
It's a great shot, isn't it? Let's see if he goes the banana kick. He does.
And the crowd will go bananas. Because the margin is 54 points and we're only 10 minutes into the second quarter. You want to take it from here, Chriso? Wolsey and I might just duck off. I suspect you wouldn't mind staying to watch it.
7 goal kickers already for Collingwood. And there's Paul Roos whistling away. Well, he breaks the record tonight, Paul Roos. Game number 153. And Rob, great stuff that.
What about the Leon Davis pick up and handball in the one motion? Clever kick by Josh Fraser to set up Pendlebury running wide. They can do no wrong.
Oh, gee, beautiful pass from Travis Cloak as well.
Touch of Steve Hooker about the dismount there too from Paul Medhurst.
Everett favoured by the bounce, but straight to Swan. Hacks it inside, attacking 50. Dawes comes to meet it, can't control it. Grundy gets around Dawes. The handball wasn't great, but McVeigh controlled it. Out wide. Oh, a little sidestep was effective from Bird. Back to McVeigh. Up to Goods. Now they're up and running now, the Sydney Swans. Confronted by Cook. He gives the handball off towards Moore. Off towards Bevan. He's well tackled. So is Vez Premi. Play on the call. Oh, Moore gets a high one. And 50
metres too. Slam him down the ground. Let's go. No need for it.
Undisciplined there. Didn't need to do it. The tackle, he just cleverly ducked down or crouched down in the tackle to draw the high arm. And then the 50-metre penalty. So more kicks, the Swans' 3rd goal. So let's have a look at this. And Nick Maxwell just pleading with the umpire.
Just the passage of play was just dreadful. All of the handballs were down at the toenails of their teammates. From the half-back line across to the half-forward line, they had about 6 handballs. None of them really hit the target. They are making life very hard for each other, Sydney.
Yeah, Goldsack, the offending player initially, then this was the dump in the 50 metres. I think Nick Maxwell, he must have heard the whistle.
I reckon that's what you taught him when you were the defensive coach.
11-3 to 3-3. It's a long way back from here. Swan looking for a free. The Swans looking to get the footy forward. And there's a lot of pie jumpers back there. Some interference. O'Brien. Not a lot of movement ahead for him. So Shannon Cox, who was rewarded for his good form in the VFL. It was a late inclusion tonight. McCarthy advancing here at the front of the pack. It doesn't quite get to him. Travis Cloak. His timing was very good there. High ball, Wellingham in front. Swan waits down at the back. Doesn't fall his way either.
Travis Cloak has a new opponent, and that is Roberts Thompson.
Fraser palming it down beautifully for Dane Swan. And O'Brien. Great stuff at the clinches. Pendlebury, Swan, and now Marty Clark.
So margin 49 points. Kennelly at fullback. That's what's ahead of him. And he's got a short option. And the mark taken by Bird. No one stands the mark, although Anthony comes to him now, but got a loose player, Crouch. And Jared Crouch does well, takes them on. Good chase from Anthony, but he gets the kick away. A poor one in the end because Maxwell was able to read it well. Handball off to Tuvey, off to Cox. Look out, Shannon, you're gone. Absolutely fair. Oh, dear me, he was gone cold.
He's gone the extra run, Barry. And look out.
Gee, I thought it was a good tackle watching it live.
It was, but I think there might have been a little nudge after the tackle.
So Medhurst runs around him this time and coughs it up, does he? Well done. Tuvey got it back to Medhurst, who drives it deep. No one there for Collingwood. Matner takes a finger tipper 15 metres from his own defensive goal.
Thank you.
I'd love to see a replay, and I think we will, of the Barry Hall tackle. I reckon Barry won himself a free kick and then gave it back with an indiscretion.
Well, the law is for Hall coming off the ground.
On the full, the kick. So nothing going right for the Swans.
Well, there's the tackle. Let's see what happens from here on. Ooh.
There's Medhurst throwing his body around with abandon, and free kick has gone his way.
It's a hike. Around the neck.
Barry's having a
Just before that incident, I watched it closely. Crouch kicked the ball to the half-forward line. It didn't go where Barry wanted it, and he just berated his teammate. Well, Crouch has busted his guts out there. It's not easy playing in the midfield for Sydney at the moment. He's trying. He's not trying to kick it to the opposition, as he did. I just don't think he needs to cop a blast like that.
Do you think he's going to be there next year, Rob, Barry Hall?
Well, that's just after it. Now, I'm not sure. I thought initially Barry got the free kick, and then I think the umpire thought he might have been overly aggressive once he had the Collingwood player on the ground.
That's Cook who misses.
Didn't look too confident with the run in, still spinning the ball as he just before he kicked Ryan Cook. So Matner with it at fullback. Margin 50 points. Just past the halfway mark in this second term. Matner to himself, kicks it deep. Richards in a good spot here. Bolton, well done McCarthy, although a good tackle forthcoming. So Richard gets it to Kirk, off to Jack, who off a step kicks towards the wing. At the back, a chance for Cox. And where will he go this time? Burns put him under the pump. That's a great tackle from Buchanan. Is it rewarded? No. And I think the Magpies are a bit lucky there. We'll get a bounce between wing and half forward for the Swans.
Well, Peter Everett's doing the ruck work. That means Jolly's gone to full forward. Barry Hall's just come back on the ground. You can hear the boos.
How'd you guess? Ryan with the tap work. Kirk, who we just haven't seen around the footy like he normally is. He's only had 4 disposals, Brett Kirk, tonight. Didn't start in the middle. Hasn't been able to have his normal influence. Feeding Kennelly. Forced to use his pace, but he made it awfully difficult for McVeigh.
Well done by Leon. Locked the ball in. It's hard to know what Paul Roos can do. Maybe just put 2 or 3 quality players inside the forward 50, such as Hall, Goods and O'Keefe. Get the rest of them out and just try to get it in there as quick as they can to those 3. He's got O'Keefe down there with Hall at the moment. And he's caught betwixt and between because he needs Goods in the midfield because they haven't been able to get clearances.
Thanks, Brett.
Oh. That's about as animated as we've seen Paul Roos, isn't it?
Well, he'll do the...
Bolton and Maxwell impersonating the ruckman there.
It's interesting. Leon Davis just dropped out of that contest to fill the hole and was rewarded.
No doubt we'll discuss the Swans a little more in the second half, but their form all year against the top sides has been very, very ordinary. Here's Barry Hall. Didn't give Bevan a lot of opportunity there. Davis playing in front. You know that Bevan's going to hunt. But Davis is able to show him a clean pair of heels, and O'Brien takes it, honouring the Burns lead. Margin stands at 50. We'll have another look at that live ladder soon and the effect of the percentage of tonight if Collingwood can have a big win over the Swans. Could yet be crucial. They could still finish in the top 4 depending on other results. Cox taking it out of defence. Task for Wellingham. Well done by Jack. Now he's devoid of long options. That's why he went to Buchanan. And there's a free going to Collingwood. It was touched on the line anyway.
I think it's against Barry.
I think you're right.
That's it.
He's an angry man.
Wasn't a heck of a lot in that, but I guess it was high.
But you just don't do it. You don't, you know, it's their chance to kick a goal. Paul Roos had to take him off 5 minutes ago because he was ready to explode.
You didn't answer my question earlier, Wolsey. Do you think you'll be at Sydney next year?
Barry Hall?
Yeah.
At this stage, I do.
So a chance for Cook at ground level. Panels it through the pack, only as far as Kennelly. Just does he escape? No, he's gone. Oh, gee, he didn't quite understand what was going on there, Tig, because O'Brien had hold of him and he tried the old Kevin Bartlett bounce. Pendlebury kicks into the pocket. Wasn't a great kick. Medhurst tries to keep it in only as far as Kirk. He's cannoned into by Swan. So comedy errors at the present time. And Kirk with the free kick. He hands it off quickly to Bevan, who kicks it short to Buchanan. He plays on, searching for a handball. It was a poor one. Barry had to slide, but he brushes aside the Anthony tackle. Roberts-Thompson now forced a handball. Craig Bolton, look out. Little handball to Goods. Good chase from Medhurst, but he coolly gives it back to Roberts-Thompson, who kicks to Barry, who marks just to 15.
I'm not sure Leo Barry will be there next year. I think Leo Barry's career is just about over.
He kicks back and across, and Craig Bolton now. He can run, Craig Bolton, and mount a Sydney attack. Took a long time to kick it, but he finds a target, Bevan. And Bevan plays on. This is better from Sydney. He drives it deep towards the goal square. Tuvey and O'Keefe. O'Keefe forced to spoil. Cook, good handball to Tuvey. Needs to pick it up, son. He can't. In comes Goldsack. Where will he go? He's surrounded. Off to O'Brien. Well done, the Magpies out of defence. And the kick from O'Brien finds Clark.
Clark searching for Cloak. Still searching. Having a good night tonight, Mick. The Pies lead by 50. Getting ready for another tilt at the finals. Gee, I wonder if they were to sneak into 4th place, whether they'd be regretting the decision to ban Didak and Heath Shaw for the rest of the season.
If they got into the 4th spot, Hutto, I suggest this is the reason why they have, because it's just given renewed purpose to the Collingwood Football Club, because they've shown some strength at last.
Wellingham got the handball. Grundy, Kirk, Roberts-Thompson. Moore. Bit of a piggyback there for Tyson Goldsack.
And you can see the shot there of Heath Shaw and Reece Shaw and Alan Didak. And I tell you what, I bet there seeing a full house here at Telstra Dome, their team playing like this and they're not part of it, that hurts. And it makes them appreciate what they've let go.
That hurts as well for that Sydney Swan who's down. Lockyer looked over one shoulder, didn't like it, looked over the other, thought that was a little bit better option. Josh Fraser not paid the mark.
That's a tough call. Umpire said it didn't go the distance, I think, and that's crazy.
That is crazy. Lockyer to the square. Dawes lost his footing, which made it the task tough. Now Brian's gone to ground with the footy there, but Matten has sort of brought it up, I suppose.
That was all footy, it was good.
Here's the contact on Eamon Buchanan. Came from Jude Bolton. He'll take out anyone. Fraser and Cloak combat each other as well down there, so the teams are competing with themselves. Goods with a fancy little kick, which was pretty effective as it turns out for Craig Bolton. Roberts Thompson needed support. Kirk starting to find it. Sticky fingers O'Keefe. Jude Bolton, that's a better flow from the Swans. This time Barry's got a little bit of space. His running mate is Jared Moore. Not much on for him. It was pretty good peripheral vision. Bolton looking for a free, won't get it. And Cox left to clean up the mess for the Pies. And he's got Lockyer away now.
He's exhausted, Jude Bolton.
Good kick from Lockyer, finds Wellingham. Fraser's free, although just covered there by Good. So Wellingham. Sydney have got numbers back, so he goes wide to Fraser. A few moments ago, Fraser was calling for it in the centre circle from Lockyer. Chip kick is okay, mark taken by Swan. So haven't had a goal since the 12-minute mark.
They do a lot of this, Collingwood, lead up passes, short kicks.
O'Brien towards Cloak, ball to the back. Jolly lumbering after it. Davis, well done by Jolly, just shrugged Davis aside and delivers out wide. Numbers though with the Magpies. Swan did very well, good protection from Fraser. Now Medhurst drills it low and hard to Dawes, who marks 45 from goal.
Well, Chris, you are a former coach down there at Collingwood. They do a lot of that, don't they?
Off to Medhurst, who sets sail from 50 and kicks it behind.
Do a lot of short passing to lead up players.
They do.
Their foot skills are very, very precise.
Is that your influence, Chris?
Wouldn't have thought so, had I? 1-2 for Paul Medhurst.
Just checking. Mattner to himself. And what next? He's had his problems with his disposal tonight. Crouch was in the comfort area there, knowing that Roberts Thompson was supporting Grundy. This is not a lot of authority shown here by the Swans. With each handball they get closer to disaster, but Kirk decides to kick. That was pretty aimless.
Hold there.
Shane Wakeland. McCarthy. Swan. It almost grinds to a halt out there as Burns pokes the ball forward. Goldsack, did he play on? He did, apparently. Why wasn't it holding the ball then? Swan and Burns again collaborating. Bryan. O'Brien. 20 seconds till half time. It looks like the players know that. Dawes, one more chance for the Pies, perhaps. Medhurst a little disorientated. 10 seconds for the Swans to see off, or maybe an opportunity to score. Crouch, good follow-up. Can they take a mark? You bet they can. The siren might be a problem here. No, Jolly decides to go back. Mick's seen enough. He's not happy, actually, I don't think, by the way he left the box. But overall, he'd have to be delighted. Now, here's the live ladder. We promised to show the impact of this game. Collingwood up to 5th spot. The siren for the end of the game ended now, and their percentage ahead of the Crows, who play St Kilda tomorrow. All eyes are now on Darren Jolly. Just tagged back nicely for a goal. And so the margin at half-time at the Dome is 45 points. The Sydney Swans with an enormous task in this second half coming up. It's Collingwood 11-6-72. Sydney 4-3-27. Pie domination of the Dome.
A lot of experienced players in that Sydney team. In fact, 132 games is the average games. So that's a lot. 132 games they average out at per player. 86 for Collingwood. It's a very young Collingwood team, and that's why I'm impressed by what they've done. They've had plenty of run and dash and dare. They're composed. The development of their young players is as good as any club in the competition, the Magpies.
You talked about putting perhaps 2 or 3 of their best players inside attacking 50 and trying to get in there quickly. Is that where Goods has got to start this third quarter?
Well, they're starting Goods forward, but have a look at, they're down in the Sydney forward line. Craig Bolton has moved forward. Now, Craig Bolton is an all-Australian defender. Now, well done to Paul Roos on making a bold change like this. Barry Hall's down there, of course. So Richards, who started the game in the forward line for Sydney, he's now gone into defence.
So third quarter about to get underway here. Magpies by 45 points. Fraser gets the first knock, tries to toe poke it forward only as far as Roberts Thompson. Good handball through to Jack. He kicks towards half forward, wide of the mark. Hall and Wakeland. Hall, good little handball. There's Premi. Hoists it high to the top of the goal square. Lockie's got to stand underneath and he doesn't. Marks well played. And Tarkin Lockyer can relieve the pressure for the Magpies. O'Brien short in the back pocket. That's what is ahead of Harry O'Brien. So he decides to run. A couple of bounces and now a third. Cuts inboard. Where does he go from here? Decides to kick towards Cook. Pitches just in front of Cook. Fraser in support. They both looked at each other, and as a consequence, the Swans away again. Jack off to Kennelly. Kennelly from 55 drives it deep to a vacant goal square. Going back, O'Keefe couldn't quite grab it. And through for a behind. So the margin back to 44 points, but good early signs for the Swans.
Lockyer with the instant kick in. O'Brien. Dawes playing in front of Grundy. Hasn't had a lot of it tonight. Grundy wins this time. Bolton for Kirk. Grundy a little disorientated, but goes back to the captain. And then Bolton a little rushed, a little too rushed as it turns out. O'Brien has that covered across half back. Lockyer also beckoning for a teammate to give him something. Cox coming from behind. Now where to? To a contest one-on-one, and again Grundy outpoints Dawes. Dawes perhaps claiming either a bit of interference or maybe a fingernail on the ball. Oh, Scotty Burns, great anticipation, planted himself in front of Buchanan. Cox, one-hand tackle. Kirk goes along for the ride. Another ball up. Crowd, mainly Pies, hoping that the trend from the first half will continue. There's Brett Kirk ducking the head, and I think a little fortunate to get a free there. Brett Kirk getting amongst it early in this third quarter. Crowd, I think, still in a state of disbelief really about what they saw in the first half. The Swans have come out with a little bit more purpose, but their system unfortunately is breaking down. Tuvia to try and create this run and dash, and happy to oblige as Davis and also Dane Swan.
Swan from centre wing chips towards it was a poor kick. I think the tackle was Anthony, but Kennelly read it brilliantly and he's away. And the Swans have started this third quarter okay. Good kick, Matner, and play on is an obvious call. Dawes didn't know what was going on as Matner kicks to half forward. Hall in the pack, ball to the back. Tuvia does well. Handball wide to Swan, who has worked back to half back. He chips on the wing, and this time Cook accepts the mark. The positive for the Swans is that they can peg back 3 or 4 goals in this quarter. They're within striking distance at three-quarter time as Swan kicks to Dawes, couldn't hold on. Gathers at ground level, well tackled by Matner. Through the congestion, Grundy got it to Bevan.
Well, they're just breaking down Sydney once they get it inside their forward 50. They've just got to be pinpoint precise with the kicks. This could be one.
It is. Kirk, beautiful kick to Hall. They worked it very well through the corridor.
Have a shot, Barry.
And Barry will kick 49. Umpire Jeffrey bellowing the instructions to Shane Wakeland. Hall decides to kick short. It's okay. The mark's been taken by Buchanan, and he'll kick from 45. on a slight angle. Now there's a loose player. He decides to go for Craig Bolton. Drops the mark. Yeah, mopped up by O'Brien. Not sure about that. Surely he should have kicked from there, Rob. Cox will get your comment in a moment as he finds Swan on centre wing. Good hard running from Cook. Cook accepts Kennelly in hot pursuit, but he kicks towards Cloakes, who's in a beautiful spot. Did Roberts-Thompson there, and he'll kick from 45.
And he'll go back and have a shot, take the responsibility on, and you just wonder why Barry Hall didn't. And was it Buchanan the other one?
Buchanan, why didn't he? Was within 45 metres.
It was just hard to fathom why they wouldn't take the responsibility on. They were within kicking distance, both of them, and they tried to give off. To me, you know, it's a sign that the confidence is down.
So Travis Cloke kicked 3 goals in the first half from 50. Drop punt on its way. It's good. He's kicked 4. Collingwood draw first blood in the second half. Margin back to 50 points, and Travis Cloke has 4 goals.
And I guess you just knew once Sydney blew it, it'd swing to the other end of the ground, and Travis Cloke, he'll be too good for Roberts-Thompson.
You can understand why if Buchanan passed to a loose player, but he passed to Craig Bolton, who was on a lead with a Collingwood player right up his backside.
Just didn't make sense.
Back to a 50-point margin then.
And as far in front as they are, Mick Malthouse would be pretty happy that the first goal was kicked by his team. Sydney Swans certainly had opportunities. They didn't want to take them.
In previous years, they've been fast finishers, the Swans, haven't they? They've always been a dangerous team. Kirk, clean pair of heels out of the middle to O'Keefe. Just goes and sits it on top for Adam Goods. Not quite, but Barry Hall can go to work. He was overwhelmed in the end. Too many Collingwood defenders. They know where the ball's going to go. And listen to the rousing reception from the Collingwood fans as they team it out of defence. Davis for Jack Anthony. Off to O'Brien. Cook. Swan to the right. Cloak to the left. Oh, inventive kick. And Marty Clark gets in. He kicks a goal. They are on fire.
Great tackle from Tarkin Lockyer. And it was like a wave of runners. Great hands there from John Anthony. And well worked out by Travis Cloke. Nice little finish from Marty Clark, the Irishman. Biggest lead of the match, 56 points. Barry Hall, Paul Roos, record-breaking game. His 153rd as coach of the Sydney Swans. Brian knocks it forward. Crouch, always put out of the contest initially by Brian, but Crouch did well. Hacks it towards half forward. Tuvey and O'Keefe. Tuvey tracks it to the line. Little handball to the advantage of Goldsack, who takes it to the line. No, he doesn't. He keeps it in for the moment. Now it's over. So a boundary throw in at half forward for Sydney.
Here's another extraordinary stat. Sydney have been inside 50 28 times. They've only had 6 effective disposals in their forward 50. That has been a massive breakdown in their forward line. Spider Everett, isn't he battling? Just 1 disposal for the night. And you wonder if he's ever going to last out the season with the Swans in the senior team, Wolsey. I don't know what they've got coming up in terms of ruckman, but unfortunately for Spider, who's been a wonderful campaigner over the years, he just looks like he's out of juice.
Have a look at the legs on Spider. He's as skinny as can be. He's just got no real strength or conditioning in the legs, and he really battles to get off the ground nowadays. 34 years of age.
And he missed a lot of footy, unfortunately, early in the year, and it's been tough for him. Buchanan, hurried snap for goal. Just about made it, but faded away.
Collingwood tackling just been first rate.
It comes into Lockyer, who kicks to Medhurst, who marks at half back for Collingwood. Chips it further afield. Good run this from Goldsack. And well done, Dawes. Just got Grundy out of the way, and Goldsack's away. Good chase. Fives Premi, but Goldsack kicks it deep. Anthony Wellingham. Anthony got hands to it. Roberts Thompson does well to mop up. Handball back to Matner, who coolly kicks it wide to Jack, who drops the mark. Oh, and just got a boot in there to get it over. Otherwise, Leon Davis was away. Boundary throwing half forward for the Magpies.
And you just about know he would have kicked a goal from there, Leon. Spider from behind. Little hands. Here's Leon Davis. It's just not going to have enough on it, but it still could be a Collingwood score. It's a behind. Teddy Richards was red alert in the goal square. Matner to himself. Came in with the urgency as if he had a whole lot of options, but he had to go short to Kirk. And now carefully to McVeigh and Grundy, and they've got outside the defensive arc. But that's about where it stops. Not a lot of movement ahead.
Adam Goods is in the goal square. There's no doubt Paul Roos wanted to give him a chance to kick a couple of goals this quarter, but they're just not getting it to him.
Unfortunately, Goods is not, I wouldn't think 100% Wolsey either. We saw him hampered by injury. He missed a week, came back, kicked 8.
I think he's got groin problems, Hutto.
There's a good mark.
Maxwell's done well on Ryan O'Keefe. Ryan O'Keefe's had a couple of pretty ordinary weeks last week, beaten by Geelong's Joel Corey, and he's a fine player, Ryan O'Keefe.
Off to Pendlebury. He got it from Swan. High kick towards half forward. Bounce favours Burns, who doesn't slip the Kirk tackle. That was great stuff from Brent Kirk. Burns goes back in though. Superb stuff. Pendlebury clever. And Swan, who was involved at centre-half back, sprinted 80 metres to get on the end of the kick. Some great running by Dane Swan.
Terrific running by Swan. What about the efforts of the veterans? Kirk, who puts the tackle there on Scotty Burns, and Scotty Burns, who comes up with a second effort and enables Swan to be able to have a set shot for goal.
Must have been a close call for holding the ball there as Burns put the ball on the ground for a moment.
Yeah, quite correct. So Swan, 7-8 from set shots, kicks it, goal, and it's a goal. He's kicked his first of the night. So, 11 minutes into this third quarter, and the Collingwood lead is 62 points. Got great poise, Scott Pendlebury. And a good finish from Dane Swan.
Here's a stat we're starting to show you on Saturday night footy. This is metres gained with all attributes of your game. And Dane Swan, no surprise there. He's gained 452 metres for the Pies. Cox has gained a lot too. He's had 16 touches tonight. Are we seeing the end of a marvellous era? We'll discuss that further through this second half. The Swans are going to limp into the finals, but it's hard to see them doing any damage at all unless there's a massive turnaround.
Well, I lost tonight, Anthony, and it's 2 wins and 6 losses out of their last 8 games. It's an awful way to go into September. They did have that 6-game winning streak mid-season.
And most of those, just about all of those, were against teams who are not in the 8. But they did get on the roll and they look good. Barry Hall was out, but they're still able to kick lots of goals. But since then, they've been conceding an enormous amount. Here's Dane Swan. Fraser was able to contain it nicely. Hoping for Pendlebury. Close call. Just the wrong side of the line.
Thanks, Scotty. That's it. Play on now.
So McVeigh on centre wing, kicks short. Matner was able to get the kick away in time, looking for Hall. Oh, was a free kick there? No, said the umpire. And Barry not happy. I thought he might have interfered there, Shane Wakeland. No, said the umpire. So a boundary throw in deep in the forward pocket. Swans into attack. Jolly, beautiful tap. Straight to Bird. He was immediately tackled though. And umpire Vozzo calls for it.
See how Josh Fraser goes in the ruck here against Jolly. Missed a few weeks, did Josh Fraser. Come back, has come back and Collingwood started to win games.
Jolly favoured by the bounce. Good tackle from Lockyer, but he took it out of the ruck, and you just can't do that. And the free kick will come back to Tarkin Lockyer.
So Lockyer.
Certainly a full house.
Been good tonight, Lockyer. Heads out to the wing, and McCarthy, who's just had the 6 disposals, but is full of promise. Such a young team, and they have responded so well to an enormous challenge by the club in the last month. Leon Davis, the most exciting of them all. Tremendous dash. Cook. Jack Anthony on top. Might be in trouble here, I reckon. McVeigh. Kieran Jack. And now Bevan, who's had a pretty good year for the Swans this year, averaging 13 disposals, 4 tackles a game. Adam Goods, this will test him. Lockyer got there first and somehow found O'Brien. Good persistence from Adam Goods, but ultimately the extra body was able to see that the Pies were able to get out of trouble.
Cloak on the wing, kicks it deep. Medhurst and Bevan. Medhurst, clever use of the body. Now Anthony leads. Well, it wasn't a great kick. Inspaward to Cooker was held. No free kick. Big spider. Beautiful pickup. And now the Swans away with Matner through the midfield. One bounce. Where will he go? He goes deep. Hall in a good spot here. Did he push out Wakeland? Kick didn't quite go to his advantage. Hall around the body. High. Chance for more. Couldn't take it. At ground level. Bird, in fact, it was Vez Prem. He tracks it back. His handball over his head was ineffective. Boundary thrown in the pocket. And Collingwood fans enjoying their evening this evening. Everett. Burns, tackled immediately by Kirk. Couple of great old Warriors there. And we'll get a bounce 20 metres from Sydney's goal. Collingwood got away to a blistering start. They kicked 8 goals to 2 in the first quarter, led by 36 points at quarter time, by 45 at half time, and they've extended that lead. Bolton well tackled, ball not coming out.
No opportunity, held to him.
And we'll get a bounce in the forward pocket. And in this quarter, 3 goals to 0. But the Swans in attack. Ball to the back. Kirk on hands and knees, tried to shovel it through. Wellingham took a long time to pick it up and was well tackled. Ball spills free. Crouch. Pendlebury. O'Brien. Now Burns. Hard up against the line in the back pocket. And the kick is wide and just escaping the outstretched hands of Adam Goods. And a boundary thrown between wing and half forward for Sydney.
Everett back on the ground with Brian for company. There's Adam Goods weaving his way through. They dissolve around him, which helped. Matner, Bolton to full forward at full stretch down there. Leo Barry, he's been relocated. O'Brien, now Marty Clark, and they can burn some more through the middle of the ground. Clark has got good pace for Dawes. Wasn't a great kick, but Dawes was still going to get there. Runs the full arc. Could have gone either way he wanted. And it's McCarthy, so the youngsters who debuted together a couple of weeks ago combining, and they've still got some loosies, and it's Marty Clark who takes the mark.
Their short foot passing is really, really good, Collingwood. They hit targets, lead up targets, and we saw Leo Barry flying for a mark in the forward line. The move was made to put leaping Leo up in the forward line, move Craig Bolton back into defence. But no matter what moves Paul Roos makes, just nothing happening for his team whatsoever.
It's just total domination. And that misses just about the lot. Sneaks in from behind. It's an extraordinary hold that Collingwood have got over Sydney, Rob, isn't it?
It is. And yeah, I really thought that Sydney would put in a good performance tonight because they weren't too bad last week against Geelong.
Numbers went out on the wing. Bolton, Jude. Beautiful kick. Mark taken by O'Keefe.
But just 4 goals in around about 80 minutes of football to Sydney.
One out again, and which way it's going to go? It's going to Barry Hall. Free kick. Made contact around his neck. So Barry Hall with the free kick. And there was the left arm of Shane Wakeland. And this will require a very good kick from Barry Hall. He'll kick from 45 metres, but as you can see, he's outside the field of play as he prepares to make his run in. And not getting any help from the Collingwood fans in this first row either. Hall, beautiful kick off the boot, but it's across the face and through for a behind, much to the joy of the Collingwood fans at the Dome tonight.
Well, they've cheered loud at Barry's behind and they have their own goals. Miserable lot, Chris, aren't they?
The Collingwood player has gone down, Maxwell.
And guess who's near him?
Yes, exactly. Cox to the wing, there's Grundy.
He's been okay, the little Grundy.
He has. His handball not so good there for Jack, but he was able to get it back, and that's a better effort to McVeigh. Again, Hall to go against 3. He did his best, but the Pies are there to swoop. Lockyer, high one to the wing. Leon Davis looking for 50. Players are going down all over the joint at the moment.
Cloak down as well.
Yeah, here's Medhurst. He'll play on.
He uses it so well, Medhurst.
And no different there. Cook actually spilt the beans in the pocket. Appropriate for a Cook, I guess, to spill the beans. Here's Pendlebury, just outside the 50. On the bounce, Medhurst, a little shove on Bevan. Buchanan, Kirk. If anyone can find a path through, it's Kirk. Goods, Kennelly. Still some great names out there for the Swans. Everett. Again, a kick that just not a lot about it was going to do any good. O'Brien. Grundy almost. Cloak. Lockyer. Open goal. They'll be cheering again. What a night for the Pies. 68 points.
And Travis Cloak's opponent, Roberts Thompson, is 15 metres behind him as he picks the ball up and effortlessly handballs to Tarkin Lockyer. There's Barry Hall. Here's Nick Maxwell. Nothing in that.
No.
How smart is Nick Maxwell, Chriso? You've coached him at Collingwood.
Very.
Well, I suggest he's not, because I've seen him mouthing off to Barry.
Okay, from the centre circle, Crouch kicks it long. Hall will be in this contest again. The fist from Wakeland, decisive at the fall though. Kirk looking for an option. Matner provides it. 50 from goal. Concedes ground back to O'Keefe, who off a step kicks from outside 50. Oh, Adam Goods all by himself on the goal line. That was a lack of concentration from the Magpies, and Adam Goods will kick Sydney's 5th goal. Their last goal came at the end of the 2nd term, so goal to the Swans. So a lapse in concentration there from the Collingwood defence. Let's see how it unwinds here. Able to sneak out the back, Rob. And Mick Malthouse, let's get his reaction. How did that happen? He's just as confused, I think, as all of us.
How did Adam Goods get on his own?
Well, how did that happen, says Mick Malthouse. The defensive coach, then he's under pressure, isn't he?
He is. Just the headphone's not working. Mick can't hear that question you asked me. Bryan and Everett. Dane Swan. O'Brien getting a run in the middle. Up to meet it, McCarthy. Cox. He's pressed his claims, hasn't he, for to stay in the senior side tonight. Been very good.
John Anthony, just the 4 disposals, 3 kicks, but 2 goals.
Handy, Rob, isn't it? Just have someone who can mark a couple of goals down for the game.
Just so accurate when he gets a shot. You'd back him in. I reckon he'd probably be the one in the AFL who you'd back in from 45 to 50 out at the moment.
Hurried kick from Mattner out to the wing. Might get a second crack at it here. Good agility, and has the audacity to have it bounce. Not sure how wise that was, but it all turns out okay. Now, one-on-one ahead is Hall and Wakeland. Bolton goes for it, and Hall, in that situation, is a pretty safe bet. Just gets an overwhelming response from the crowd too, Barry. They just love him.
1 goal coming in the first quarter to the big man.
There's the targets. 11 times they've gone to him. All in all tonight, he's taken 5 marks. 1 goal, 2 to his name. On a lean night for the Sydney Swans, Barry Hall has carried a heavy, heavy load.
Great work, left 1 out inside the attacking 50. Pushed off Wakeland and led up to the football. And it was a good kick coming in from Jude Bolton then. Lovely finish from Barry Hall. So the Swans with the last 2 goals of the match. Margin back to 56. Hall's kicked 2-2. 5 marks, 12 disposals. Jolly wins it forward. O'Brien just scrambles it forward towards centre half forward. Coming up to meet it, Craig Bolton was taken high by Pendlebury, and he'll get the free kick.
That's it, Scotty. Wow.
Off to Goods. Richard delayed the kick.
Hold downfield, Kirk.
There you go.
You're free, Goodsy. That's it, tuck. 1 metre.
Umpire barking the instructions, but it all means that Kirk's got the free kick. That half-back kick short to Goods on centre wing. Adam Goods coming in for disposal number 11.
Peter Everett pushed into the Sydney forward 50.
O'Keefe, loose player. Jack, overlap. Goods really trying to get something going on the run here. Over to Richards, who marks on attacking 50. So the Swans, just in the last 4 or 5 minutes, having an impact. Then Hall on the lead. Here he comes. Good kick. Chip kick that from Richards, and Mick not happy.
No, he's not happy, because we saw in the first half with the NAB analyser how Collingwood players were able to get into his path. That hasn't happened in the last couple of minutes. 2 relatively easy marks to Barry. Led well. Space in front of him.
So he's kicked 2. An opportunity to kick his 3rd, and he misses. 2 goals, 3 now for Barry Hall. As we count down to 3/4 time, the margin is 55 points.
Leon Davis takes the mark. Dane Swan for Davis.
I don't know if there's been a player in the Collingwood list who's improved his football as much as Leon Davis this year. It's a real credit to him.
Great to see too, Rob, isn't it?
Got himself really fit, and his confidence is up, and he's winning lots of ball. He's enjoying his football. Most of his career was just a forward pocket goal kicker. Played in a couple of grand finals quite poorly, and it's good to see that he's been able to bounce back. But Sydney made a few positional changes. Nothing worked for them in that 3rd quarter, other than Big Barry presenting for a couple of marks late in the turn.
What a wonderful team they have been over the last 5 or 6 years. But is an era just about at an end. The Sydney Swans will be playing finals footy, but at the moment they have absolutely no answers, certainly not tonight. And it does appear that it is going to be a big win for Collingwood, who are shaping to have a shot at the top 4. That doesn't necessarily mean that Mick Malthouse is happy, though. Young Sharad Wellingham getting the call. He was left out a couple of weeks ago. There was thought that maybe a few of his defensive hard work wasn't quite there. Now there's some bad news for Collingwood though. Christie with Scott Burns.
Yes, Anthony, Scott Burns is on the bench with a calf injury. He is icing that at the moment. He's got his leg up, so he won't return to the field in his final term. And also Alan Tuvey, who spent a little bit of time in the rooms in the first quarter, has gone back into the rooms. It looks like he may have a bit of an ankle injury, so I think he's just getting some painkillers, and he may be able to return to the field. But at the moment, Collingwood 2 down.
All right. What to expect for the last term then, boys? We'll just check in with the score first of all. Up there at the Gabba where the
That's a big
Lions
third quarter from Brisbane.
blitzed them in the third term.
Has
And now-
Fev got his 100 up?
I don't think so, Rob. He only had 1 till half time. Let's have a look at the live ladder. If this was to end now, Collingwood would be ahead of Adelaide. Adelaide played tomorrow, of course. The Sydney Swans in 7th, but Brisbane not far behind them, and also St Kilda.
And we talk about the top 4, but it's also important to consider finishing 5th or 6th.
So Sydney could actually go out of the 8. On the wrong assertion before that they'll play finals footy. If they lose to Brisbane, they're out, potentially.
Potentially, absolutely.
Well, the way they're playing, there's a chance that could happen, that Brisbane could beat them next week. Absolutely.
Well, it depends on what happens with St Kilda, and depends on if Brisbane finish off Carlton tonight. So there's a lot of depends on, but what we do know is that they are in massive trouble here tonight against Collingwood as the last quarter unfolds. And Kieran Jack sends it deep inside 50. Jared Moore. Could have been high contact on Buchanan.
Straight away. Straight back.
Jude Bolton. Fairly haphazard kick. Might be okay. Buchanan, a nice read on that one. Barry Hall back at the top of the square. Buchanan 15 disposals tonight, but only 3 kicks, so been handballing a lot. Maybe he needed a bit more practice with the boot, but look at that kick.
So 54 points the margin. O'Brien marks the kick in. Now he's got McCarthy short, but he goes beyond that towards Wellingham, who did well to make a contest. And well done, patted it to the advantage of McCarthy, who takes them on Kennelly in hot pursuit, but he kicks towards full forward at the back. Pendlebury couldn't take the mark, play on the call. A kick around the body. Cloak and Roberts-Thompson. Roberts-Thompson did well to work to the front of the pair, and Richard tracks it to the line, and still not out. He just gets a fingernail on it now, although it still remains in. Chance for Cox. Back to Cloak. Now it's over, so a boundary throw in 35 metres around from the Collingwood goal. There's the drop mark from Pendlebury. I think surprised to see it land in his lap. Ball to the back. O'Brien was held, and he'll get the free kick. So Shane O'Brien coming in for disposal number 18. He's kicked the goal, and there's the tug, the left hand of Kirk on the shorts. Not a bad effort from Kirk there, but he was found out.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, since Collingwood made that hard decision with the Shaws and Didac, they haven't lost a game. Beat St Kilda, beat Port Adelaide in Adelaide.
McVeigh limps from the ground. Not good news.
And they're going to have a big win tonight.
So Shane O'Brien kicked one. Oh, gee. That wasn't his best effort. Kicking with the right boot. Margin back to 55.
Ty Kennelly. And Grundy, who, as you mentioned, Chriso, certainly hasn't been their worst tonight. Leo Barry knew exactly where Lockyer was, and he learned very quickly where O'Brien was. Couldn't see him off. And Harry O'Brien goes as long and as strong as he can. Not bad tactics when Cloak's deep. Bolton was aware. High contact from Cook, and it could have been even worse than just the free kick, but here's Craig Bird with the takeaway. It's all one-on-one ahead. O'Keefe with a bit of a run. Hall cast in the role of the defender. Matner takes it to ground. Dane Swan arrives on the scene. Dawes. Shannon Cox. Shane O'Brien. Tarkin Lockyer. They're all getting a piece of it out there. Wellingham's on now in the middle of the ground. He looks up. Medhurst has given a strong lead. So too down there is Pendlebury, who gets there first. And poked it into the pocket beautifully for Josh Fraser.
Just had a quick look at the two-team list for tonight. Just with a quick calculation, Sydney's got at least 13 players who are well into the second half of careers. Collingwood's got just 5. And they've played that way with a lot more bounce and energy, the younger Collingwood team.
Josh Fraser then. Won't be a goal. Oh, will be a mark. And Cox celebrating a sensational night.
Well, he did that in style, didn't he? And didn't even go back to soak up the glory of the mark. Immediately put it on the boot. Let's have a look at it.
He's got a lot of talent, Rob.
Well, and the confidence in playing in front of a big crowd tonight will do him the world of good.
Shannon Cox kicks his first goal, and he's the type of player that can play in defence, play in attack. Very talented, lovely mover, cool head.
That's his equal highest disposal tally in a match, 220.
105 points to Collingwood, and there's still plenty of football to be played, and that's the thing about Sydney that just hasn't happened over the last 5 years. They haven't had big scores kicked against them, and over the last 8 games it's happened repeatedly.
O'Keefe kicks it deep. Hall in a good spot. Well done, Wakeland. Fist in there. Kirk attacks it hard, but it ricochets to Clark. Wellingham, little give to Lockyer. Then he applied the shepherd on Buchanan, and Lockyer decides to kick long to space. Craig Bolton in front. He taps it. Not to Bird's advantage, though. McCarthy's got it. It's wrapped up. Bird dives on top of it. What's the umpire going to make of this? He's at close quarters. He decides to bounce.
What do you put it down to, Wolsey? The leakage of goals. It's surely not just about their defence being weak. It's got to be a lot more than that.
Well, who are their midfield? Who gives them dash in the midfield? Other than Adam Goods, I think no one. You know, Ablett's been dropped from the team. Fosdyke came back and played one game. He's gone out. And their backline, Leo Barry, I think, is really struggling. Roberts Thompson, I don't think is good enough to hold down a key defensive position. He's always been a fringe player for them. Ted Richards plugs holes. I guess they've really maximised their forward line in recent years. They've been very good at getting the best out of Goods and Hall. Nick Davis, O'Keefe. Well, Davis is finished. I don't think he'll ever play another game for Sydney. Goods is playing with injury.
Goltek's kick to Cook.
And Barry Hall, of course, well, he's been all over the place this year.
Swan to Davis, who drives it deep. 2-on-2 here. Out comes Anthony. Oh, gee, good attempt. Couldn't quite hold on. Chance for Richards. Taken by Medhurst, driven into the ground. Still no free kick. Barry well tackled by a couple. Bang, you're gone, Leo. But he held it in. Medhurst appealing. And he's going to give a free kick because of the arguing, I think. Gee. So Leo Barry.
This is just, we're watching the free kick before, and Mick, who is very, very animated tonight, despite the scoreline. He is obviously not happy with. We obviously don't know what he's not happy with, but he's very animated tonight.
Roberts Thompson finds Kirk. The other thing too, Rob, is that they've played a real hard, close-in, accountable style of football, and maybe the legs of some of their senior players who have been able to apply amazing pressure, just getting a little older and a little more difficult to keep up with some of these younger sides.
Yeah, and they had a golden run as far as injuries were concerned. They hardly had any injuries at all. This year they've copped a few.
And I reckon that is as much to do with it as anything. The injuries and the grind, as you talked about, Chris O. Buchanan onto the chest of Barry Hall. I think everyone at the start of the year was expecting the Swans to decline and thought that, you know, it might have all caught up with them, but they were able to come out renewed. They had a much bigger pre-season than they'd previously had. They had a lot more time because they'd gone out early in the finals, but they've copped some injuries and they look a very tired and old team at the moment. But Barry Hall puts it through.
Well, to his credit, he's kept at it, Barry. He's kept presenting. And he's 5 goals last week. It could have been 8 against Geelong. There was massive confusion out at the centre here. Sydney had 2 players in at the centre bounce, Peter Everett and Jude Bolton. Jude Bolton was just screaming to his teammates saying, for goodness sake, who's going to come in here and be the 3rd and 4th player? And McVeigh and Kieran Jack finally ran in.
Jack Shark, the Brian knock, kicks towards half forward. At the back, Maxwell will get there first. Good pressure from O'Keefe, but he was able to get the handball to Lockyer, who threads the handball to Davis. Now McCarthy hasn't done a lot, but what he has done has been impressive. Pendlebury, great mark. One-on-one tussle there with Jude Bolton. And Scott Pendlebury came out on top. Kick towards Cloak. Pats it back to O'Brien. Matner in chasing, but O'Brien's kick fortuitously lands in the arms of Medhurst. Kicks to a central location. Cook couldn't quite hold on, but he's first to recover. Ryan Cook, left foot snap, is a poster.
Pendlebury.
$45,000 people watching on tonight. And I hope people don't think we're being too harsh on the Swans. We're merely just, we acknowledge what an incredible effort it's been from the Swans over many, many years, really, since the turn of the century. Under Paul Roos, they have been incredible. Won the 1 flag and came so close to winning a second. And they've managed to eke out just about the complete maximum out of the group of players they've had. But now the future is going to be very interesting. Kennelly and Bevan. Grundy. O'Keefe just couldn't hang on.
Hutto, you mentioned before the game some talk about Ben Cousins perhaps going to Collingwood next year. I wonder if Sydney would entertain Ben Cousins.
It's going to be a big off-season, that's for sure.
The thing about Sydney, players who've gone there from other clubs have generally played some very good football.
Bolton surging forward for the Swans to Buchanan, who marks Hall one-on-one with Wakeland. They'll set it up, and he'll just about could have drawn the free, but as it is, clear the path for Jared Moore to kick the goal. And they are strong finishers, the Swans. The margin back to 50.
Good contest from Barry Hall, and to contend with a couple, and nice work from Jared Moore poking it through. Swans have kicked 4 of the last 5 goals in the game. And it got out at one stage deep into the 3rd quarter to 68 points, now back to 50. Brian, Shark this time by Kirk. And again they are out of the centre of the Swans. Deep inside attacking 50, Maxwell going back. Moore taken by O'Brien. He ducked the head and somehow got the handball out to Lockyer, who jams it on the boot out on the full. So the Swans with the free kick at left half forward. Counting down to halfway through this final term. Free kick to Bird. Crowded forward 50. There's Adam Goods. Decides just to kick towards the top of the goal square. Everett in from the side. Big fist. O'Brien did well. Handball not great though. Everett, can he gather? Well, Vez Premi was hurled. O'Brien goes in to retrieve the football, wrapped up, and the umpire calls for it. A bounce 20 metres from the Sydney goal.
It's been 96 matches since the Sydney Swans have lost by more than 50 points.
It's been their great strength, hasn't it, that they just don't get blown away, and that's why tonight is a very damaging sign.
Marty Clark just couldn't take the moment. Everett almost did. Maxwell had other ideas. Goldsack to bring it back in. Gets a good, got a good lead from McCarthy. Went way too short. Might have to just walk back over the line. What sort of damage can the Pies do, do you think, in September? I mean, if they were to sneak into fourth, be interesting to see, given the history of a preliminary final against Geelong. But even if they don't finish fourth, there's another poor kick in, taken by Spider.
Well, they're just getting something from everybody at the moment, and terrific experience for the players who've come in to replace the Shaws and Didak. Don't forget Dale Thomas is missing tonight.
Good spot up to Buchanan. Do you reckon mixed coaching pretty well, Wolsey?
I think they've been terrific over the last couple of weeks with the enthusiasm and energy. And their forward setup's been good too. Their foot passing has been very good.
So Lockyer with the free kick in the back pocket. Kick towards Fraser, and he marks right on the boundary line. So the margin 48 points. Fraser short to Tuvey, who marks in front of Bevan. And Tuvey just feeling the effects of his fall there. Now where will he go? Handball off to Pendlebury. Now Pendlebury, that's shocking kick. Now he needs a good bounce here. Wakeland Hall chasing hard, and he just decides to do the safety first thing and rush it through for a behind. So 68 points was the margin deep into the third quarter. Now just 47 as Wakeland brings it into O'Brien. Short to Maxwell, who marks at left half back. 36 points. Blistering opening quarter by the Magpies. They kicked 8 goals to 2 to lead by 36. The margin at halftime was 45 and 55 at three-quarter time. Contest on the wing taken by Dawes. Off to Cloak. Kicks high towards half forward. Pitches in front of Barry. Well done, Craig Bolton gathered it. His handball wasn't great. Numbers though with the Swans, and they can work it clear as O'Keefe gives to Crouch. Off to Richards. Good tackle Medhurst, but not before he could get the handball off to Craig Bolton. Now Roberts Thompson can set something up from centre wing. He kicks towards half forward. Moore and Lockyer. Moore did well to get Lockyer out of the way, but he can't stop it from going over. So a boundary throw in at half forward for Sydney.
Just look to the top of your screens now. This is O'Brien going down earlier. Doesn't look like there's a lot in that. Buchanan there just pushing him out over. Times there's been a bit of feeling in this game. Lots of appealing going on. The umpire not obliging.
He made an attempt, then it was stuck between his legs. Swap again, Rose. Okay, mate. Watch my back.
Plenty of players away to the left of screen here, even if the Swans do get the ball. It's going to be hard to get it cleanly to goal. Shane O'Brien's been good tonight, 23 disposals. There's Adam Goods. He's had just 13. And has kicked 1 goal. Brett Kirk, trademark style. Goldsack knocked it out. Moore with a tricky little kick across the body. Bevan hitting the pack particularly hard. Marty Clark kicking it through for a goal, but at the wrong end. And the margin is 46. So basically the lead that they established in the first quarter, they've maintained through the night, Collingwood. Tarkin Lockyer finds Pendlebury. 24th disposal coming up for Scott Pendlebury. And the Pies don't appear to be in much of a hurry in terms of gaining territory, as the Swans lock them down a little. And that's a bit sloppy.
Just stopped running at the moment, Collingwood, Rob, haven't they?
Yes, well, I guess the game's well and truly in the bag, isn't it? Just thinking about Jack Anthony. He's been up there in the goal square, hasn't had much action around him. Maybe give him a run on the ball. He's only had 3 kicks for the game as Anthony. Kicked a couple of goals early. But he's as cold as ice at the moment. Might be good for his experience just to get a run through the middle of the ground.
Kennelly was able to get it to Jack, and I don't think Mick Malthouse would be too happy about this. Swans have kicked 4 of the last 5 goals, and Jack with an opportunity to add to that. Beautiful kick, and he's converted. So another one to the Swans. Have kicked the last 3. And as I say, 5 of the last 6 goals kicked by the Sydney Swans, and the margin is back to 40 points.
Collingwood coach Mick Malthouse has shown he has not been happy with the way Collingwood have finished off certain areas today, and this is one reason why. Look at the live ladder. They've slipped behind Adelaide now on percentage. Mick obviously looking at systems and structures and so forth, but also just the gravity of the situation in terms of the Pies' finishing position.
Oh, I'm sure he'd be aware that you know, they're losing percentage with what's happening here in the last quarter, and every little bit counts.
Could be the difference between a double chance in the first week of the finals. Medhurst, Davis. A few tired boys out there, I reckon.
Yeah, very big Collingwood forward line. Chris Bryan, Cloak, Anthony, Dawes.
Fraser to do battle with Jolly. Give it to Jolly. Buchanan. Oh, he ducked the head just as the tackle came. Bird. Kirk. Straight to O'Brien. And he almost spirals it inside attacking 50. And it's a free kick. Which way will it go? I think it's going to Travis Cloak.
And if Travis puts this one through.
Your arms around his waist holding him. He can't get his arms up.
Against Roberts-Thompson. Let's have a look at it.
It will be his 5th for the game.
Well, he'll kick from 30 metres directly in front. And tonight, Travis Cloak, 7 marks. This will be his 14th disposal. And as you say, Rob, an opportunity to kick 5 goals straight. Collingwood by 46. Always difficult for a defender. If you kick the ball in quickly, it makes it hard, puts the pressure on, always a little bit of panic, and there's the free kick against Roberts-Thompson.
Well, the kick by Harry O'Brien, it was really a mugger or torpedo, wasn't it? It came in low and spiralling.
So Travis Cloak on target to get 1 out. He's most goals ever. He's certainly levelled his effort against the Bombers. What a player he's become.
Maybe Collingwood doesn't need Jonathan Brown.
Bryan with the tap. Kirk puts his head over the ball. Matner comes in. Was able to slip it off nicely to Kennelly, and now Kieran Jack. He did have Jolly pushing forward. Goes for Hall instead. Moore boxing on with Lockyer. Adam Goodes ever so laconically showing us the skills that we know he possesses.
By leg, back up here, holding him by leg. He looked up his leg, mate. Nah, because I was watching it from up there, mate. Nah, I was watching. I was straight up there. I had no one in my way. just holding him by the leg. There you go, that's the one.
Fair to say Michael Vozzo and Tarkin Lockyer's version of events were a little different there.
Yeah.
And now there's 50.
Chris Bryan, he's swearing at me. I don't even know why he's doing that, mate. Not when the score's like this anyhow. Right out, guys. Right out, thank you.
Vozzo.
Nick. Chat to Chris Bryan. There's no need for him to say that.
It's interesting, umpire Vozzo saying, Chris Bryan's swearing at me. He's got no reason to say that.
I don't know why he's doing it.
I've got no idea. Why would he swear at me?
I'm a nice bloke.
Yeah, I'll give him 50.
Collingwood and Adelaide's percentage is so close at the moment that when Cloke kicked that goal, they went ahead of Adelaide. And then when the other goal came from Moore, they went behind Adelaide on percentage. That's how tight it is.
Moore's kicked 3 goals to the benefit of 50-metre penalties against Collingwood. Bryan, inspired, jumps high to Swan towards half forward. Richards is first there. Good tackle. Well, no, it wasn't. He pushed him in the back.
It's a close.
Clumsy tackle, and Mick not happy. So Richards with the free kick. He takes them on with a couple of bounces and a third through defensive 50. Wasn't a great kick though, not quite sure who he was going for. He's found the boundary line, so in terms of metres gained, a nice little effort there from Ted Richards, but perhaps could have done better. So a boundary throw in on centre wing. Paul Roos directing traffic. Jude Bolton. Kirk, good tackle coming from Goldsack, wrapped him up. Swans continue to fight on. Swan somehow got boot the ball onto the wing. Anthony did well. Craig Bolton comes to meet it. Dawes pushed over by Barry. Wellingham going in. Craig Bolton and Wellingham struggle for the football, and eventually the umpire calls for it.
Well, they gave Jack Anthony a go in the midfield, and he's just injured himself, so he hobbles off.
Fraser hooked on by Jack, but that just suited Bryan, who bounced up off the bench and kicked it to centre half forward where McCarthy marks. Cloak's in the square. Medhurst's on the move. Wasn't well placed for him. Richards potentially could have infringed there. Just had to get it off to Matner and couldn't do that.
Great second effort from Medhurst.
Goods decides to push on. He really should have handballed.
He looks slow, Adam Goods. He's not right. You'd never see that happen. In space and just can't accelerate.
So Tyson Goldsack with a rare venture into the forward line. Just kicked the 1 goal in AFL footy until now. You can double that. He's pretty happy.
And Goldsack's goal is the 12th Collingwood player to kick a goal. It's a lovely spread.
So the margin back to 46. Closing stages of the big game at the Dome. Moore, who's tried hard for his side. Well tackled by O'Brien. Umpire letting it go a long time before he calls for it. So Fraser and Everett. Everett does well. Well done, O'Brien. Pushed more off the footy, then gathered himself. Kicks towards half forward, but Grundy in the way.
He can mark Grundy. That's a strength of his.
He's been a very good player. One of Sydney's best tonight. Off to Barry. Wide to Richards. Ted Richards kicks towards half foot. Maxwell, decisive fist over the boundary line, and looks like he just hurt his right arm there for a moment.
He spoils with real venom, doesn't he?
What?
Long and strong spoils. I think he's hurt that right arm.
Did the job on Ryan O'Keefe in round 14. Swan immediately tackled by Kirk, going nowhere. So a bounce, just the attacking side of the wing for the Swans. There's Nick Maxwell. Hopefully just a stinger.
We've got a couple of sore boys, haven't they, with Scotty Burns off for the night. Here's Wellingham, relishing a bit of space on the wing. Brian had to make sure he didn't give away the free. Unfortunately, he did. And Teddy Richards comes away, but there's just nothing to go to. Has to dig deep and, with all his effort, get it as long as he can down to O'Keefe. The next one up the line is Buchanan. He couldn't quite handle the terrain. Did it go out? Yes, it did.
Now, Maxwell's had to come off, and Anthony, who I don't think's 100% fit, has come onto the ground. So Maxwell just seeking some medical attention. There's John Anthony. So a boundary throw in. Beautiful tap from Everett to Jude Bolton, who had more time than he thought. Inside out torpedo towards Barry Hall. Buchanan will want his left side. Handball off to Hall. Can he make the distance from outside 50? He can't. Swan going back, marks comfortably. And for mine, Collingwood's best tonight, Dane Swan. Off to Pendlebury. He lopes away. Long kick to a vacant wing position. Dawes and Grundy. Well done, Grundy. Can he follow up his good work? He does brilliantly off to Jude Bolton. Now Bird across the ground and finds Bevan. 45 from goal, as good as directly in front. Here's the work from Heath Grundy, who we've seen in attack and also in defence. Tonight he's been in defence for Sydney and has been one of their best. So Paul Bevan a chance from just inside 50. Beautiful kick. Has it got the carry? It has. So the Swans, no, hit the post. Just must have grazed the inside of it. So the margin now 45 in favour of the Magpies.
The last rights here at the Dome being applied to the Sydney Swans. O'Brien receives from Pendlebury and heads for Dawes, gets a chance to run and almost drag the mark in. Cook found a path. Kick was hurried in the end. Travis Cloak wouldn't mind one more.
Gee, did well there.
Bullocking work was outstanding. Dane Swan, don't be fooled by the big shorts and the socks down. Dane Swan's all class. He's been a star tonight. 30 disposals. And the Magpies get home by 45 points. That's something to sing about. In raptures, their season very much alive, and they are right in contention for the top 4 spot. I wonder whether Scotty Burns is going to be in the action next week as the finals approach.
That's a worry.
Christie's found their way out to centre half forward, where I think she might have found Travis Cloak down there somewhere.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, Travis, congratulations. Is that one of the best wins of the season, do you think? Not necessarily just the scoreline, but the way everyone played?
Yeah, definitely. We really came out strong in that first quarter and put Sydney on the back foot. But to Sydney's credit, they came at us really strong, but the boys held on well. And I think it's good to have a bit of form going into the next couple of weeks now.
You equalled your career best, 5 goals tonight. I mean, you had some help with the other forwards as well, but are you enjoying that role of being more of a focus up forward?
Yeah, definitely at the moment. Like Anthony, Sean Rising, Ben Reid are out, but Chris Dawes is doing really well at the moment, and John Anthony seems to step up every week, kick a few goals. It's just really enjoyable at the moment, and the boys are having a ball at the moment, so it's good.
Now, your brother up in Brisbane, he's kicked 4 goals so far. The game's going, so that's his career best. I mean, what was in the milk at your household this week?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, actually. So that's really good for Cam. So right with him, I think they've just got up too. So that's great for Carlton too. And Cam to kick 4 goals, that's amazing. Yep, great.
Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Gee, he's got good mail on the score up there. That game's only just finished, or just finishing, and good night for the Cloaks. 45 points the margin here at the Dome. And there's Anthony Rocker's not all that far away from being fit, from what they say. But what about the Swans, Wolsey?
Yeah, it's a worry for Paul Roos. His Warriors are really starting to show signs of wear and tear. I've seen them the last couple of weeks. They try hard, but there's not much speed in the team. Their forward line, other than Barry Hall, is breaking down. And the tall defenders in Leo Barry and Roberts Thompson are really struggling at the moment. So Peter Everett, he's on his last legs. I think the golden era of the Sydney Swan is over.